There's just nothing better on a cool, crisp autumn day than a cup of Joffrey's coffee or tea. And whether it's one of Joffrey's newest blends like creamy butterscotch rum, toasted s'mores, or the newest Disney blend Artifact inspired by Tiffin's, or one of your favorites, you just can't go wrong. And from now until November 12th, you can enjoy 20% off your entire Joffrey's order with code LOOPER20. That's LOOPER20 for 20% off. So order your favorites today at Joffreys.com.
It's Crystal on the Small World ride in Disneyland Paris. It's time for the show with Bob and Tim, or is it Tim and Bob?
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Once again, if you're traveling to Epcot, please remain on board. You'll need to change monorails at the Transportation and Ticket Center.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is ResortLoop.com, and I would really enjoy being at Disneyland Paris right now.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Crystal. That, it tugs at you, the traveler in us, that
Yes.
when we get these from all the other Disney parks. And, man, I just want to go, Tim. I want to go to Disneyland, Paris. I want to go to Disneyland in California. I'm just we need to talk to some other travelers. Any idea who we might be able to talk to, traveler-wise?
Do you know who we've not had on the show for a while? Who's a great world traveler and always has great stories?
Who?
Chris DeMezzo.
The one and only Chris DeMezzo. Yes, we haven't.
Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Chris, thanks for joining us on the show.
How you doing, guys? Pleasure to be here.
Good to talk to you again, Chris. How you been?
I've been good.
Good.
Been, doing real well. Got real lucky. Dodged a bullet with a hurricane that just brushed us. Thankfully, it didn't affect anything. Business is safe. Home is safe. Everybody we love is safe. So
Good.
Awesome.
That a win.
That's that was the first question on our list for you. Is everybody okay? And you guys doing all right down there? Because that was that was rough. And by the way, thank you. If any our listeners don't know and don't really follow you guys on Facebook, they should, because it showed you guys did a lot of work and help for all the hurricane victims, including the ones from the first one from Harvey up in Texas. So we just want to thank you guys for doing that for everybody.
It's our pleasure. It's something that we all live with. And all know in the back of our minds any day, anytime, from where our home base is, that could happen to us. And we have employees and cast members that have family, spread out all over the place. So it's something that's very near and dear to us. And
Sure.
we want to support any way we can.
Sure. And Tim, you had a question about the hurricanes, didn't you? About the effects of them?
Yeah, I was going to ask Chris, did the hurricane affect any major coffee regions? Do we have to worry about prices or yields or anything like that along those lines?
Thankfully, no. The only weather-related issues in coffee have been the so-called drought in Brazil. That it's funny, our market, just like a lot of commodities, one week they'll say it's dry in Brazil and the market will go up. And then the next week they'll get rain and the market will come down. And then a week later, it's dry again. So, it's like a seesaw effect. Most of the time when hurricanes are brushing a coffee producing region, the coffee's grown pretty high up, and the hurricane's worst effects are usually, down below somewhere, sea level to 1,000 foot or something like that. So what it normally does is it doesn't really, sometimes, thankfully, doesn't mess up the farms all that much, but it devastates the infrastructure, meaning it washes out roads.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mudslides, and then those roads are a lot of times impassable with a regular rainstorm that they get. And then you throw a tropical storm or a hurricane at them, and those roads are really impassable. A lot of the time, we're following graders and front loaders up the side of a mountain so they can clear a path because, rocks, landslides, you name it. There's all kinds of obstacles that can get in your way when you're going to some of these far off places.
Sure. And that's one of the things we love about you guys is you guys deal with the smaller farms. So they're even in more remote areas.
Oh, you gotta look for the jewels. No, if you really want to find something that's unique or different, you gotta, really, really do your homework and go where no man really wants to go.
Well, speaking of that, you just got back from a trip from Peru, and I got to ask the question: did you and Miguel really kiss that donkey?
We have a lovely young lady who works with us from a marketing company who thought that would be a really, really fun picture. She was teasing Miguel and I, we got to post it. She saw it on some other website. And I said, you know what? If it'll make you happy, we'll give it a try.
Oh.
Miguel and I get over there, and we're up in this beautiful farm. And lo and behold, there's, we call him Chula the Mula. From a very good dear friend of ours who's one of the importers we use to source our fair trade organic coffees. And she goes, there's your Chula, go give her a kiss. So Miguel and I bend down and begin to get a little close to this poor mule that's wondering what the heck these two guys are doing. We got about 6 inches from its face, and we said, this is not a good idea. We kind of faked it, so she kind of got a little bit of the picture she was looking for, but there was no actual smooching going on.
Yeah, it does. It looks like, what are these two guys doing over here?
Now, I did get kissed by a pig about 2 days later, but that's another story.
What?
Oh, my.
Well, you can't leave us hanging.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to tell on myself. Idiot boy was kneeling in front of the pen, and I've decided that, wow, this would be great to take a selfie. So I am like the most challenged guy when it comes to technology. So I'm trying to figure out how to hold my phone correctly and, angle myself so I could get the pig and me. And, I'm trying to get this angle right, and I keep backing up and backing up. Before I know it, my head's up against the rail, and over the rail comes the pig. So there's a picture on my phone of a very, very shocked and surprised. I pushed the button to take the picture as the pig grabbed me.
Oh, no way.
No one will ever see that picture but me. But I did manage to get one that looks like she's snuggling up to me in a nice way.
Oh,
I'm going to call her a her. I couldn't tell you if it was a her or him.
Looper Nation, that is dedication, getting you the best coffee that you can possibly get. Oh, my goodness. So what did you find? Did you find any gems when you were in Peru?
Actually, went to see the producers that produced the Alta coffee that Disney's partnering with Conservation International.
Right.
They did a big promotion on it. They're actually serving it in some of their restaurants now. And I think I told you one of the times Disney approached me and said, hey, we're doing business. We're sponsoring this organization that is helping to stop the clear cutting of the Amazon rainforest in Peru. And, would you be interested in perhaps, talking to them and maybe doing some business with them so that we can, promote this coffee on property? And I said, I'm always looking for new coffees, but I have to be honest with you. I've never heard of Conservation International. And I don't know this particular region of Peru. I've never bought any coffee from there. But if they're willing to let me come and visit them, sure, we can look at that. Because, I like to know, meet, talk to, see everybody we do business with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I put, the Joffrey's name on anything. I want to vet them and make sure that, if they're really saying that they're doing something, I want to go there and make sure that they're actually walking the walk rather than just talking the talk.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
So a couple of years ago, I went out there and met with them and found out and was very pleased that they are the real deal. They really were, helping these farmers, and these farmers were farming the right way. They're organic. They're sustainable, fair trade. All the things that you're looking for. The farms were very, very well maintained, and Conservation International was, doing everything that, they should be doing as far as guiding these farmers into doing things the right way. The old school rule of, way of thinking was, I can grow more coffee if I cut all these trees down and have these flat land, and I could put more trees per hectare. And it's like, no, that's really not, the key to success.
Right.
The trees like to be shaded, and spacing them apart actually gives them a little bit more nutrients. So you can have more trees but produce less coffee, or you can have fewer trees that produce more and better coffee. And these are the things that, the mindset that you have to change sometimes when, they've only known one way to do things.
Right.
And because this was such a new project, the producers up there made a rookie mistake the first year, because it was actually the first year they really had enough coffee to sell. So what they did is they accepted the first offer that came to them, and they sold all their coffee probably for less than they should have. But so I said, hey guys, I really like what you're doing. I want to support you. Do me a favor. I promise you I'm going to come back next year. Don't sell to the first guy until we've had a chance to talk, because, this is a coffee that, theoretically can be sold in Walt Disney World. And I think, all of us would like that. And yeah. So, true to my word, I went back again the next year, and this time they did have actually more coffee to sell. The coffee had improved a little bit, actually. And so, we bought a good deal of it. And that's when, we took about 4 months to get it imported, finished and milling and all that at origin, and then shipped here to Tampa. And then we did intense training seminars with all of the restaurants and on property that were carrying it, both here in Florida and Disneyland in California. And it's still being served via French press in some of the nicer restaurants across property here in Florida and in California.
Very nice.
Wow, that has to be awesome.
It is. It's rare that I get to get in on the ground floor or something like that and actually see it come to fruition, and then be able to go back and hold up my iPad and show these farmers, hey, look at your coffee where it is.
Yeah.
If you look at pride on their faces, it's just phenomenal.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Now, speaking of the good work that you're doing, what now is the Cafe Feminino? You're out of that, but that program's still going on, right?
No, we're just beginning.
Oh, okay.
Our locations, and this is the other half of the Peru trip, is going to visit. I call them my girls,
Right.
Because it's it is a female run cooperative, and they're the first ones I met. Probably 4 years ago. It was my first trip to Peru and my first exposure to Cafe Femenino. Now, I've been traveling for quite a few years, more than I'd like to admit to, and I've seen a lot of producers, coffee mills, and women have always been involved in one way or another. And most of the time they're doing all the manual labor in a lot of instances with nothing to show for it. When I met this group of ladies, I was overwhelmed with the experience, how they took control, and actually the look of pride when they're talking to you and explaining what it is they do, and how meaningful it is to be able to be a part of the actual business end versus just, working in a mill sorting or something.
Sure.
They have a say in how the coffee's produced, how the coffee's milled, how the coffee's sold. I mean, they're in charge from top to bottom. And again, it's an organization that is just, gives back to the ladies. They're getting, not just the ladies, but, by giving back, we're investing in schools. We're getting health care so they can get screened for cervical cancer. The co-ops themselves, every year they pick somewhere between 8 to 10 of the women producers who have done an outstanding job that particular year, whether it's coffee related or whether they did something good for the rest of the community. They're rewarded with new kitchens.
Wow.
And if you've seen some of these places, you've got dirt floors, you've got wood burning stoves that a lot of times actually vent back into the house versus outside.
Oh my goodness.
So that's not real healthy.
Right.
So what happens is they'll go in and they'll actually put a stove, a new thermal efficient stove. It vents to the outside. They give them like a prefabricated countertop that is sanitary versus what they're used in the past, which is, wood with cracks in it where, things can get trapped in there. And
Oh yeah.
so they make all these improvements. And if you, again, when you visit them and they want to show off, the beautiful new kitchen they've got, that look in their eyes is something that is just, hard to describe. The look of pride and accomplishment. And I'm just, glad that we're able to be a part of that.
Absolutely. That is wonderful that you guys are changing lives like that. And just you guys do such good work. Just like I said, the hurricane relief, the help there, and now all of this stuff you're doing with the rainforest in conjunction with Disney and the Cafe Femenino folks. It's you got to be you and everybody at Joffrey's has to be extremely proud of the direction that your company is going in.
I'm proud of the ladies. They're the ones doing all the hard work.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Credit where credit's due. Our good Lord and those ladies are doing a lot of the work. We can't do what we do if they don't do as good a job as they do. We're great roasters, but we can't grow great coffee. And again, if you see how hard these ladies work, it's amazing. We're very humbled, but at the same time, yes, very, very grateful and proud to be able to partner with them and help them any way we can. It's a great story. It's coffee farming, the way it's supposed to be. And the bonus is they grow great coffee as well.
Yes, they do. Yes, as a matter of fact, Tim and I we're just having some last week.
Yeah, we finished off what I had ordered before. And I always tell Bob, this is one of my favorite coffees you guys have ever put out. And you put out so many great ones, but I consistently go back to this one over and over again.
In fact, starting next week, the Cafe Femenino Sumatra will be debuting on all of our cart locations in Disney World.
Oh.
And Monday afternoon, I get on a plane and start the day-and-a-half journey to go visit the lovely ladies that produced this coffee.
Oh, we'll send them our best.
Excellent. Yes.
We appreciate so much what they're doing out there.
Oh yeah, and this is a different, a little bit different situation. These ladies, all, believe it or not, didn't plan on doing what they're doing, but their husbands went out were forced to go out for a civil war and never returned.
Oh my goodness.
So they really had no choice but to take over the chores and every other aspect of the business.
Wow.
And, Cafe Femenino found out about this and helped them organize and get better organized so that things would become easier for them. So, but again, it's another great story, another great group. It's my second time out there, and I'm looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the journey to get there, but once you get there, it's great. It's a lot of long plane rides.
I'll bet. I'll bet. How long are you going to be on the plane? Oh, day and a half.
Yeah, you get a bunch of long 9-10 hour flights, and you get like a 4-hour layover, then you get another 9-hour, 10-hour flight, and then you get another layover. So
wow.
The good news is when you come home, you leave on the same day you arrive.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, like
you lose a day going out, but you gain a day coming home.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So we got to ask. We're going to switch gears a little bit and head back to Florida. And how was Food and Wine, Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival, for you guys?
It's in its beginning stages. It's as always seems to be a big hit. Miguel did a presentation the first weekend in Authentic Taste. He does a Coffee 101. And our locations across property will have special drink specials going on. I'm old and forgetful, so I couldn't tell you exactly which one had which, but I know that from talking to our managers and our directors that every year they're just getting more and more popular. So we've been doing nitro coffee on the Saturday nights when they have the Party for the Senses. Actually, my beautiful wife and I are doing it this Saturday. In World Showcase, they're having the Party for the Senses, which is a ticketed event where different chefs, sometimes from Disney, sometimes from the other chefs that are presenting and doing the culinary demos during the festival. Their restaurants come in and they serve plates, and you go around and you eat great food from a lot of great restaurants.
Oh, wow.
that are paired with, wines that are out of this world.
I gotta ask, did you say nitro coffee?
Yes, sir.
What is nitro coffee?
Whoa, that's Joffrey's Jamaican Me Crazy, which is when we do it cold brew, which is the way we serve it. Mm-hmm. It's now called shaken Jamaican. And then you put that in a kegerator and you inject it with nitrogen, and it comes out and pours exactly like a Guinness. You got those little bubbles that are coming up from the top. It's got a thick, creamy head on it.
Wow.
It's one of the newest crazes going around in the third and fourth wave coffee shops all over the country.
Now, how's it taste? Is it any different than
cold?
Yeah. What it does is it adds like a creamy texture to it.
Oh.
And it's amazing to me because I have people that come up and are like, I don't like coffee. I'm like, you know what? You're going to be surprised. Try this. And then they actually sit there in front of me and drink it, and they're like, hey, this is good. And it's that texture that really just softens it and makes it, it just changes the complexity of it. It's just amazing.
Very good.
I myself, I drink like a half of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Just give me a regular cup of coffee.
Okay, all right.
But people love it. We're doing it. We're doing a nitro coffee and a nitro tea at Tea Traders.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, we're doing a nitro iced tea and a nitro coffee, both regular and flavored. And debuting, I think today, as a matter of fact, or if not today, probably tomorrow. Our cart. I made a pumpkin creme brulee cold brew.
Oh, no way.
Which you can only get at my cart, so I'm not putting that out anywhere else. I'm keeping that one as an exclusive.
Absolutely.
Great.
Which location is that?
That's going to be on, I think, most of the larger Joffrey's cart locations.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be in the water parks per se, but it'll be on most of the, definitely Magic Kingdom, definitely probably the 5 locations in Epcot. I'm sure the studios will probably have it. And I know Animal Kingdom will have it. I'm just not sure if it'd be entrance or T-cart, but one of those two will have it.
Okay. Let me tell you something, folks. And the folks that were at the Looper meet that we had down there at Tea Traders, they're going to back me up on this. Anytime Chris DeMezzo says, here, try this, don't hesitate. You have to try it because it will blow your mind. Every time you would say to me, here, try this, Bob, I would take a drink and be like, are you kidding me? This is even better than the last thing you gave me. And it was fantastic. Every time.
That's my reward for doing this is watching the expressions of people when they try something that we've made. And then you get, I call it the Joffrey's rollback. When I watch your eyes roll back in your head, and all the hard work we do, then that's our reward. Making people happy is what it's all about.
Well,
that's what we do.
You certainly do that well. You do that well. I'm enjoying the Steakhouse 55 right now, as a matter of fact, actually, which has come to be one of my favorites from Disney. So. Speaking of which, you got some new coffees out there, some new blends. What's up with the Disney Artifact?
Yeah.
That was, I guess it was about a year ago. The Beverage Innovations team, whenever they're opening up a new restaurant, when they're still in the development stage, my good friend Brian, who's oversees that, calls me and says, hey, we've got a new concept coming in. Would you come on in and let's brainstorm on a coffee for this particular location? And of course, I'm always happy to do that. And I go in and I meet with the culinary team, and we sit down and decide what the menu is. And my first question to them is always, what kind of statement would you like to make with your coffee? Do you want it to do this? Would you want to be this? What is your menu going to look like? What kind of food are you offering? Because I pair different coffees to different day parts or different menu offerings. Like what you're saying, Steakhouse 55, you're going to get this delicious New York strip, and you're going to get this delicious death by chocolate cake after dinner. So if you put a dainty coffee in there, you're not going to really, you're going to lose that. You need a coffee that's going to stand up to all that delicious, rich food that you're going to get.
Right.
So I want to make sure we pair, the right coffee to the right, offerings. And because of the new attraction that is right around the corner from where Tiffin's was opening, we decided to go with some themed African, Indonesian coffees that fit that kind of where you came out and it's like you still have that experience of being back in the jungle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Artifacts Blend is a variation of Mocha Java with a Joffrey spin to it.
Okay.
All right.
Where we've kind of taken the idea of a Mocha Java, but we kind of stretched the parameters a little bit and threw a couple of different coffees in there to make it interesting.
Well, it certainly
It
is.
is technically a mocha java, but it's not a true mocha java.
Right.
It's coffees in those regions, but coffees that aren't typically used in that type of a blend. But we threw them together, and lo and behold, it worked.
Well, because you know what you're doing. I've said this before. Whenever we've had you on the show and you have a new coffee coming out, you are a coffee sommelier. You pair your coffees to each restaurant and the signature dishes in those restaurants just perfectly.
I'd like to tell you I got it right the first time, every time. But, it's trial and error.
Well, I got to.
Sometimes I get lucky and I'll get it, quickly. And sometimes my worst enemy is myself, because I'm never happy.
Right.
I'm always like, man, I could do this, and I think it'd be better if I did this. And a lot of times people say, Chris, just leave it alone. It's great.
Exactly.
I'm like, it's a never-ending desire for perfection, even though none of us can ever attain perfection.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why everything's fantastic that you guys seem to put out.
Yep. Tim and I had the pleasure of eating at Tiffin's, and of course the young lady came over and said, after we were done with our meal, she said, "Can I interest you guys in some coffee?" And we have, of course, asked, "Is it Joffrey's?" And she said, "Of course." And I got to tell you, you were spot on when we had that after the meal. It was the perfect ending to that meal.
A lot of layers of complexity, which is, again, like I said, when you have, and that's a pretty, eclectic menu.
Yes.
A lot of different flavors and tastes and aromas going on. So I wanted a multi-tiered, multi-dimensional coffee, so that when you're taking your first sip and just when you think you've identified a taste or a flavor, I change it on you.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're like, wait a minute, I tasted this, but now I'm getting this. And I like it because I keep you guessing, and you're going to keep sipping and trying to figure it out what it is that you're tasting.
Right.
But in the end, you're just going to say, darn, that was a good cup of coffee.
Exactly. Yep.
Give me another.
Give me another. Yeah, and Tim, I mean, really, when we got done, it wasn't like, in some instances, when I've had coffee like at restaurants around me where I live, after a meal, it's like, I wish I hadn't gotten that coffee because it kind of ruined the taste of the meal, So now you got that coffee taste in your mouth. A lot of people experience that when they go to local restaurants. But I'm telling you, and you can back me up on this, Tim, you have a Joffrey's blend that's fit for that restaurant at the end, and it complements the meal. It doesn't take that away, right?
It doesn't. It doesn't mess with your palate at all. It just, you're right. It just brings it all together, and you're like, this was the perfect dining experience. Which Tiffin's, I mean, is there any place better that we've been recently?
Right? No, no.
My goodness, that was a meal.
That was incredible. Yeah, and then so you're spot on with the flavors that you're putting in there, and we've always said that about your coffees. It's just a perfect. You have your coffees, and not just the Disney coffees, but now you've got like this creamy butterscotch rum and the toasted s'mores. Those are a couple of your new ones, and I mean they're good in different settings. So you can't have one bag of Joffrey's in your cupboards. You just can't.
No, that was believe it or not, that was an idea that was inspired by our marketing department. That the buttered rum. Excuse me, Jonathan. They came to me and they said, we want to let our customers pick a flavor, design a flavor. I said, you're nuts. There's no way I'm going to do that. And Gio said, hey, come on, it's something that, I think they'll really enjoy. So, of course, I protested, and finally I relinquished. And you know what? He was 100% right, because it was the engagement that we had. We normally get people to respond to some of the things we do online at what I would guess would be an average return rate. But for this particular campaign, the results were, far better than we had ever expected. And it was great to see the customers engaged, and suggesting. Some of these suggestions were completely crazy, but it was kind of neat. I didn't think it was going to go, but they were kind of picking the different flavors, and then we would round them out and categorize them, and then at the end it was kind of like a merger or a melange of putting all the flavors that they did together, and that's how we ended up with what we did. And for a new flavor launch, it broke a record for how much a new flavor sold on its initial launch.
Oh, wow.
So between you and I, top secret, I think we'll probably end up having to do this again. And I'm not going to protest this time. Say, great.
Gio knows what he's doing. See, there you go. Well, you certainly surround yourself with people that know what they're doing. That's for sure. Tim and I talked about a Resort Loop blend. Unfortunately, we tend to leave a bad taste in most people's mouths, so we kind of thought that'd be a bad idea.
And sometimes we're bitter, so you don't
It happens, guys.
Hey, Chris, do you have any other new quarterly ones we can look forward to that you can talk about, or is that top secret?
No. Our winter flavors will be coming out. Right now, like I said, we did the pumpkin creme brulee brew. We did the pumpkin creme brulee regular flavored coffees is now in full swing. Winter Wonderland will be coming out shortly, if it's not already. And then in the first quarter, you're going to have the Cafe Femenino Sumatra.
Oh, nice.
And we will transition over to the Cafe Femenino Guatemala, I believe. Will be in the second quarter. And then I'm actually, you guys, I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but for springtime, I'm working on another flavor of cold brew. I'm going to try working on making another flavor of ours that's very, very popular into a cold brew.
Okay.
Ooh.
I like a little teaser.
Yeah. Not going to tell us.
The response to the ones I've done so far, I didn't know if it would work as a cold brew, but the response from our guests has been, overwhelming. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
As long as people like it, we'll keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I use those flavors as a base, and then I add different syrups or, different things to the drinks that I make with it to add, again, make it, always put a little bit of a Joffrey spin on it. I always want ours to be a little different, hopefully a little better than everybody else's.
Always. It's always better, Chris. And I'm not trying to stroke your ego or anything. It just is. You've spoiled Tim and I. Oh my goodness. Tim and I had a little meeting and at a place, and we got coffee, because we're coffee crazy, and we couldn't even finish it. It was and it's a well-known good. I mean, most people like the coffee, but we just were like, it's just not Joffrey's. It's not good, And I'm sorry to say that, but you've spoiled us with such incredible coffees. So.
I am the worst. I go out here, or I travel a lot. I go to restaurants, and I have a fantastic meal somewhere. It's delicious steak or pasta or fish, whatever, and then I have this really, really nice homemade dessert, and then that's like I really would like a cup of coffee to finish this off with, and out comes the hot brown water. And
right.
Right.
I look at the poor guy and it's like, look, you sourced the best prime beef you could find, the freshest produce. You've got this beautiful linens I see your silverware is the finest silverware. You didn't skip any of the details until you got to your coffee, huh?
Right.
Like Bob's,
You know, you ruined a great meal.
right.
You know, the last experience I'm going to have in your restaurant was that nasty cup of coffee you just gave me.
Yep.
And they just don't get it.
No.
You know, some do, but unfortunately most just don't get it.
That's true. You're exactly right. And the passion. I mean, a lot of people, it's a job, you know, or at the best, it's a career till they can reach retirement. And for you, I mean, it's truly a passion, what you do, obviously, in the way you talk about it, the fact that, you know, you are grooming Miguel and some of the other guys to be as passionate about it as you are. And, you know, all the places that you're willing to go and take the time and spend to source the best coffee for our experience. That says a lot.
There are no shortcuts.
There you go. There you go.
And if you're not passionate about what you do, you don't survive here.
Right.
You know, I got extremely lucky with Miguel. You know, Miguel drank the Kool-Aid. You know? He knows he works for a crazy man, and he's okay with that. And now he does the same thing to his two understudies.
There you go. How's the beans in your backyard? Did the beans survive in your backyard?
They got knocked down. I almost, because my wife and I, we live very, very close to Tampa Bay, and we were in the evacuation zone.
Yeah.
Because that hurricane was nerve-wracking. You know, a week before, it's, you know, it's not going to affect you. It's going to take out, you know, the east coast of Florida. Then every night you get home and it's like, it's moving west. And then like 48 hours before the storm's going to hit, it's coming right for you.
Yeah.
At this point, there's not a gas station that has any gas. There's not a grocery store that has a bottle of milk or a loaf of bread on the shelf. You know, it was crazy. And then, you know, again, you know, we got very fortunate, but, you know, our home is very close to water, and, you know, the wind doesn't get you, the flood does. So, you know, I'm not taking any chances. I came here to the roastery, and my wife and I and my daughter slept on the floor in my office that night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, you know, thankfully, you know, it brushed us. But when I returned home the next day, all my trees were laying on their side.
Oh,
it actually blew them. And, you know, thank God, you know, the coffee trees have, you know, these particular ones anyway, have pretty shallow roots. So the root balls were still intact. So I put them upright, staked them, and they're doing fine. They're actually producing right now the Mitaka crop, our mid crop.
Nice.
Wow.
That's excellent. That, folks, is passion right there. If a guy is growing coffee in his own backyard, that's passion.
My poor wife, she wants to kill me. I ripped up all her ornaments.
Oh, no.
I got coffee plant, and now I have tea plants growing.
Well, I have met your wife, and she understands. She understands the man she married.
There's a special place in heaven for that woman. God bless her.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Tim, I think that's all I've got for Chris right now. We'll get back to him.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you very much for joining us again on the show. Always like catching up.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You know that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm Tim Scott. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, the website, ResortLoop.com. Don't forget, subscribe to this podcast for more great shows.
Like us on Facebook, rate us on iTunes. Don't forget to check us out over on ResortLoopTravel.com. And what else should folks do, Tim?
Everyone go out there and please share this Gateway to the Magic.
See you, everybody.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoop.com.